First contact deception. The Galactic Confederation's survey vessel emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Captain Zaraval, her translucent appendages gracefully manipulating the ship's neural interface, studied the preliminary scans of humanity's homeworld with growing disappointment. Another primitive species, she transmitted to her crew, her thoughts tinged with the particular frequency that denoted boredom. Their electromagnetic emissions suggest they've barely mastered basic digital technology. Their space presence is limited to a handful of primitive satellites and one small orbital station. The Confederation had spent millennia cataloging and assessing species across the galaxy. Their protocols for first contact were precise, refined through countless encounters. Humanity, by their initial assessment, barely registered as a Level 2 civilization on the Confederation's 10-point technological scale. Their scans showed cities powered by crude fossil fuels and nuclear fission, transportation systems bound to planetary surfaces, and military capabilities that relied on chemical propellants and basic ballistic weapons. The most advanced human satellites appeared to use simple radio waves for communication, technology the Confederation had abandoned thousands of years ago. What the Confederation's sophisticated sensors failed to detect, however, was that every reading they received had been carefully crafted. Each signature of human technology had been meticulously designed to project an image of primitive development. The crude satellites they observed were merely shells, housing technology far beyond anything the Confederation had encountered. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility unknown even to most of Earth's governments, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel's arrival on quantum-entangled displays that couldn't be detected by conventional sensors. She stood in the heart of Project Pantheon, humanity's true defense command, surrounded by technology that would have seemed like magic even to the Confederation. "They're following the exact pattern we predicted," she noted to General Marcus Rodriguez, who stood beside her watching the alien ship's movements. "Their arrogance makes them predictable." "Humanity learned its lesson centuries ago," Rodriguez replied, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. "The last time we revealed our true capabilities too early, it led to the Mars catastrophe. This time, we wait." The alien vessel continued its survey, completely unaware that its every movement was being tracked by quantum sensors embedded in what appeared to be ordinary space debris. The humans they dismissed as primitive were silently observing them through technology that operated on principles the Confederation hadn't even theorized yet. In orbit, what appeared to be a simple weather satellite quietly adjusted its position. Inside its crude exterior lay an artificial intelligence more advanced than anything in known space, running on quantum processors that drew power from the fabric of space-time itself. Similar devices scattered throughout the solar system formed a defense network that could react faster than light itself. The Confederation's assessment team compiled their report with the casual efficiency of those who had performed this task countless times before. Their conclusions were decisive. Earth was a developing world, potentially useful for resources, but otherwise unremarkable. They recommended establishing minimal diplomatic contact while beginning preparations for eventual resource extraction agreements, their standard approach to less advanced civilizations. What they didn't know was that humanity had spent the last century preparing for this moment. After the Mars catastrophe, when a premature display of advanced technology had attracted unwanted attention from a now extinct aggressive species, Earth had adopted a policy of technological camouflage. Every advancement was hidden behind a facade of deliberate primitiveness. Dr. Chen's team had developed quantum computing while maintaining the appearance of struggling with silicon chips. They had mastered gravity manipulation while letting the world believe they still relied on chemical rockets. They had solved the energy crisis with zero-point energy extraction, but kept using solar panels and wind turbines as cover. As the Confederation vessel prepared to depart, satisfied with its assessment of yet another unremarkable world, Captain Zaraval felt a moment of pity for the humans. How long would it take them to achieve real spaceflight? to develop proper energy systems, to join the greater galactic community. In her report, she recommended periodic monitoring of Earth's development, estimating it would take at least 5 centuries for humans to achieve technology worth noting. Her final notation suggested that the species showed no signs of being anything other than another routine addition to the Confederation's extensive catalog of developing worlds. Deep in the Pacific facility, Dr. Chen read the alien ship's transmissions with amusement. Their quantum intercepts captured every detail of the Confederation's dismissive assessment. "They see exactly what we want them to see," she said, allowing herself a small smile. "How long should we maintain this charade, General?" Rodriguez considered the question carefully. "Until we're certain of their true intentions. The Confederation claims to be peaceful, but we've detected their resource extraction operations on other worlds. Let them think we're harmless while we complete the Helios defense grid. When they finally show their true colors." He left the sentence unfinished. The alien ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind observation satellites that they thought were well hidden. Earth's quantum sensors had detected and mapped them all before they were even deployed. Each would feed the Confederation exactly the data Earth wanted them to see, maintaining the illusion of a primitive world slowly developing, while humanity's true capabilities remained concealed. In the following weeks, the Confederation's assessment was filed away in their vast databases, Earth classified as just another developing world of minimal strategic importance. They had no idea they had just encountered the most technologically advanced civilization in known space, a civilization that had learned the hard way that sometimes the best defense was to appear defenseless. Dr. Chen returned to her work on the quantum barrier system, technology that would render Earth completely invisible when needed. Around her, humanity's true technological marvels continued to advance, hidden behind a carefully maintained facade of primitive development. The real question wasn't if the Confederation would discover the truth, but how they would react when they finally did. The stage was set for a revelation that would reshape the galaxy's balance of power. Humanity was ready. They just had to wait for the right moment to show their hand. The Silent Sentinel. 6 months after the Confederation's initial survey, their diplomatic vessel approached Earth with the casual confidence of an advanced civilization making contact with primitive beings. The ship, nearly a kilometer in length and adorned with the intricate markings of the Confederation's diplomatic course, broadcast its arrival on simple radio frequencies they assumed humans could detect. Ambassador Krelexai stood on the bridge, his crystalline form shifting through patterns that indicated anticipation. The Confederation had performed this ceremony thousands of times, the formal introduction of a developing world to galactic society. It was usually a straightforward process: overwhelm the primitives with displays of advanced technology, establish favorable trade agreements, and begin the slow process of cultural absorption. "Their planetary defense forces are mobilizing," his aide reported, monitoring Earth's obvious military responses. "Primitive aircraft and ground-based missile systems, nothing that could possibly threaten our shields." What they didn't notice was that their ship had passed through 3 layers of quantum detection grids. In the Pantheon facility, Dr. Chen and her team had already compiled a complete analysis of the vessel's capabilities, weaknesses, and the true purpose behind its diplomatic facade. "They're carrying enough firepower to level every major city on Earth," Dr. Chen noted, studying readings that the Confederation didn't believe humans could possibly obtain. "Their diplomatic vessel is actually a converted warship. Interesting choice for a peaceful first contact." General Rodriguez stood before the facility's primary command interface, where an AI more sophisticated than anything the Confederation had ever encountered was gaming out millions of possible scenarios per second. "They're following their standard protocol. The Andromeda archives we recovered showed this exact pattern: overwhelming force disguised as diplomacy, followed by resource exploitation agreements that always favor the Confederation." The alien vessel took up position in high Earth orbit, deliberately positioning itself above major population centers in a subtle display of power. Ambassador Krelaktai prepared to transmit their first official message to Earth's leaders, a carefully crafted communication designed to emphasize the Confederation's superiority while offering the illusion of equality. Before he could begin the transmission, something unexpected happened. Earth's primitive communication satellites suddenly aligned in a precise geometric pattern. The Confederation's sensors registered a power surge they couldn't explain, and for a fraction of a second, their advanced systems detected something impossible, a ripple in the quantum fabric of space itself. In the Pantheon facility, Dr. Chen gave a slight nod. Show them a glimpse, just enough to make them question their assumptions. The quantum barrier that had hidden Earth's true technological level flickered for exactly 1 second. In that brief moment, the Confederation's sensors were overwhelmed by readings that defied their understanding. They detected energy signatures that shouldn't have been possible, computational systems that operated on principles their science hadn't discovered, and defense installations that made their mighty vessel seem primitive by comparison. Then everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. The alien ship's crew spent several minutes running diagnostics, trying to convince themselves they had experienced a sensor malfunction. But Ambassador Krelaktai felt an unfamiliar sensation, doubt. "Replay that sensor burst," he commanded, his crystalline form shifting to patterns that indicated deep concern. "Compare it against all known technological signatures in our database." "Ambassador," his science officer responded, "there are no matches. Whatever we detected, it's beyond anything in our records. But that's impossible. These humans barely understand basic spaceflight." In the ocean depths, Dr. Chen watched the confusion aboard the alien vessel with satisfaction. "They're running exactly the analyses we predicted. Their quantum probability computers are trying to make sense of what they saw." "Should we show them more?" Rodriguez asked, monitoring the Confederation vessel's power fluctuations that indicated they were powering up additional sensor arrays. "Not yet," Chen replied. "Let them stew in uncertainty for a while. Psychological warfare works on any species capable of doubt." Above Earth, Ambassador Krelaktai faced a diplomatic crisis. His mission parameters assumed contact with a primitive civilization, but that 1-second sensor burst suggested something else entirely. If those readings were accurate, Earth wasn't just technologically advanced. It was operating on scientific principles the Confederation hadn't even discovered. He decided to proceed with the planned transmission, but the confident superiority in his message had been replaced by carefully measured diplomatic language. "People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Confederation." The response they received was equally diplomatic, delivered in perfect Confederation standard language that they hadn't yet taught to humans. Earth's message was polite, welcoming, and contained subtle references to technological capabilities that made the ambassador's crystalline form vibrate with anxiety. "Welcome to Earth," the transmission began. "We look forward to establishing diplomatic relations with the Confederation. We've taken the liberty of analyzing your vessel's capabilities to ensure appropriate security protocols. Shall we begin formal discussions?" The casual mention of analyzing their vessel, something that should have been impossible for a primitive civilization, sent ripples of unease through the ambassador's crew. Their sensors showed nothing but primitive technology below, yet that 1-second burst and this surprisingly sophisticated response suggested something far more complex was happening. In Pantheon, Dr. Chen and General Rodriguez watched the Confederation vessel's power emissions fluctuate as they tried to penetrate Earth's carefully maintained facade. Their quantum sensors detected every scan, every probe, every attempt to understand what they had glimpsed. "They'll be back with more ships," Rodriguez predicted, watching the diplomatic vessel's engine signature indicate preparation for departure. "That glimpse we gave them will drive their leadership mad with curiosity." "Good," Chen replied, her fingers dancing over quantum-entangled controls that the Confederation couldn't even detect. "Let them come. Each scan, each probe, each attempt to understand us will reveal exactly what we want them to see. By the time they realize the truth, It will be too late to matter. The diplomatic vessel departed 2 days later, its crew shaken by an encounter that had gone nothing like their standard protocols predicted. They had come expecting to find primitives, and left wondering if they had instead discovered something far more significant and potentially dangerous. As the ship vanished into hyperspace, Earth's true defense grid remained invisible, its quantum sensors tracking the vessel's departure while maintaining the planet's carefully crafted image of primitive development. The first move in a complex game of galactic politics had been played, and humanity held cards the Confederation didn't even know existed. The Silent Sentinel, Earth's real defense network, continued its eternal watch, ready for whatever the Confederation might do next. Humanity's greatest advantage remained intact, the ability to appear harmless while holding power beyond their visitors' comprehension. Breaking point. The Confederation Council chamber hadn't seen such chaos in over a millennium. Crystalline beings of various forms and colors pulsed with agitation as they debated the Earth situation, their forms creating a dazzling light show that reflected their heightened emotional states. High Counselor Vexnar's form pulsed with deep crimson frequencies, a sign of extreme agitation. 3 survey fleets. 3. And each one returns with contradictory data about Earth's capabilities. This is unprecedented. The chamber's quantum displays showed the conflicting sensor readings. One moment, Earth appeared to be a primitive world struggling with basic spaceflight. The next, sensors detected technology that defied the Confederation's understanding of physics itself. But these advanced signatures would vanish before they could be properly analyzed, leaving only what appeared to be a developing civilization. "The humans are hiding something," Admiral Zin Cole declared, her crystalline form emanating patterns of deep blue determination. "Our latest stealth probes detected energy signatures that suggest quantum manipulation far beyond our capabilities, yet their visible infrastructure remains primitive. This deception cannot be tolerated." In Earth's Pantheon facility, Dr. Chen and her team monitored the Confederation's debate through quantum entanglement feeds that the aliens didn't believe possible. The facility's AI systems translated the crystalline beings' light patterns in real time, providing perfect understanding of their discussions. "They're planning a show of force," Chen observed, watching the Council's military faction gain support, exactly as the simulations predicted. General Rodriguez studied the tactical displays showing the Confederation fleet movements. "They're assembling their 7th fleet, 500 ships, including 3 of their planet killer vessels." "Let them come," Chen replied, initiating sequences that had been prepared for decades. "It's time they learned why we've maintained this deception for so long." The Confederation's 7th Fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of power, their ships arranged in attack formations designed to awe and intimidate. Admiral Zin Cole stood on her flagship's bridge, confident that this show of overwhelming force would compel Earth to reveal its secrets and submit to Confederation authority. "Broadcast on all frequencies," she commanded. "Let them see the futility of resistance." The message they sent was simple: submit to full Confederation inspection and control, or face immediate military action. They gave Earth 6 hours to comply, expecting the primitive civilization to crumble before their might. The response came almost immediately, in a form none of them expected. Every screen, every neural interface, every quantum computer in the fleet activated simultaneously, displaying a simple message: "We gave you every chance to respect our privacy. What happens next is your choice." Before Admiral Zin Cole could react, her sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth's direction. The planet's seemingly primitive satellites suddenly transformed, quantum fields rippling as their true forms were revealed. The debris field they had dismissed as space junk came alive with energy signatures that dwarfed anything in the Confederation's arsenal. "Impossible," the Admiral whispered, her crystalline form paling as she realized the true extent of humanity's deception. In Pantheon, Dr. Chen gave the final authorization: execute Protocol Omega. Show them exactly what they're dealing with. The Helios defense grid activated in its full glory. Quantum barriers that had hidden Earth's true capabilities dissolved, revealing a defense network that made the Confederation fleet look like children's toys. Every piece of apparent space debris, every primitive satellite, every seemingly ordinary object in Earth's orbit revealed its true nature. The transformation was beyond anything the Confederation had imagined possible. Their sensors detected technology operating on principles their science hadn't even theorized. Earth's defensive grid didn't just protect the planet. It controlled the very fabric of space-time around it. Admiral Zin Cole watched in horror as her fleet's weapon systems simply stopped responding. Their advanced shields, impenetrable to any known force, were bypassed as if they didn't exist. Earth's defensive systems didn't attack. They simply exerted absolute control over every aspect of space around them. This is humanity's final warning. The transmission came, now carrying underlying quantum signatures that demonstrated capabilities far beyond the Confederation's understanding. Leave our space immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate our offensive capabilities as well. The Admiral's flagship attempted to engage its hyperspace drive, only to find that the very principles it operated on were being locally rewritten by Earth's technology. They were trapped, helpless, their mighty fleet rendered impotent by defenses they couldn't even comprehend. In Pantheon, General Rodriguez watched the Confederation fleet's confusion with grim satisfaction. Should we give them a small demonstration? Something to ensure they understand their situation. Dr. Chen nodded, authorizing a specific sequence. A single quantum pulse emanated from Earth's defense grid, passing through the Confederation fleet's shields as if they were non-existent. Where it touched, ships temporarily lost all power, their mighty engines silenced by technology that operated on fundamentally different principles than anything they had encountered. The pulse affected one ship in every 10, creating a precise geometric pattern in the fleet's formation. The message was clear. Earth could have disabled or destroyed them all, but chose not to. Admiral Zin Cole, her crystalline form now pale with fear, understood the message perfectly. Her mighty fleet, the pride of the Confederation, had just been transformed into an object lesson in the dangers of underestimating humanity. The retreat, when it came, was chaotic. As soon as Earth's defense grid released its hold on local space, Confederation ships flowed into hyperspace, their precise formation forgotten in their haste to escape. They left behind a changed galaxy. Humanity had revealed a fraction of its true capabilities, and that fraction was enough to shake the Confederation to its core. The image of primitive Earth was shattered forever, replaced by something far more challenging. A civilization that had hidden its power so perfectly that it had fooled the galaxy's greatest empire. In Pantheon, Dr. Chen watched the fleet's retreat on quantum displays that operated on principles the Confederation wouldn't discover for millennia. They'll be back, she noted, but not as conquerors. Next time, they'll come as supplicants, seeking to understand how we advanced so far without their knowledge. And we'll show them, Rodriguez replied, exactly as much as we want them to see. And not one quantum more. Paradigm shift. News of Earth's demonstration spread through the galaxy at quantum speeds, traveling faster than the Confederation could contain it. The footage of their mighty Seventh Fleet being effortlessly neutralized sparked a fundamental shift in the galactic order that had stood for millennia. In the Confederation's capital world of Crystallia Prime, the council chamber had been in continuous session for what humans would call a week. The crystalline being's usual ordered debates had devolved into chaos as the implications of Earth's power became clear. "They've been watching us," High Counselor Vexnar declared, his form shifting through patterns of deep concern. Every survey, every diplomatic mission, every attempted scan, they were studying our responses, learning our weaknesses, while showing us exactly what they wanted us to see. The chamber's quantum displays showed hundreds of previous encounters with Earth, each now being re-examined in light of new understanding. What they had dismissed as primitive responses were revealed as carefully crafted deceptions, each interaction precisely calculated to maintain humanity's facade of technological inferiority. On dozens of worlds across the galaxy, other species watched the unfolding situation with intense interest. Many had their own reasons to resent the Confederation's dominance, and Earth's revelation offered new possibilities. The Nexian Empire, long considered the Confederation's only near-peer competitor, sent secret quantum transmissions to Earth. In the Pantheon facility, Dr. Chen reviewed their message with amusement. "They're offering an alliance," she told General Rodriguez, studying the complex quantum codes that carried the Nexian proposal. "They think we're natural allies against Confederation dominance." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "They still don't understand. We didn't reveal our capabilities to replace the Confederation as a galactic power. We did it to ensure they all leave us alone." In space, the changes were already visible. Trade routes that had traditionally passed through Earth's solar system were being rerouted. Species that had ignored humanity now sent diplomatic missions, each trying to establish relations with this suddenly formidable power. The Confederation's response proved more complex than anyone expected. After the initial shock and military humiliation wore off, their vast bureaucracy began a comprehensive analysis of every interaction with Earth. They discovered patterns that had been invisible before, subtle hints of advanced technology that they had dismissed, signs of sophistication in seemingly primitive responses. Their deception was total. Admiral Zincole reported to the Council, her form still showing traces of the paleness that had marked their defeat. "Even now, we cannot be certain we understand the full extent of their capabilities. The technology they revealed operates on principles our science cannot explain." In Pantheon, humanity watched the galaxy's reaction with careful attention. The facility's quantum sensors detected increased activities at the borders of human space as various species tried to probe Earth's defenses. Each probe was met with exactly the same response, a demonstration of capability precise enough to discourage further testing without revealing any new information about human technology. Dr. Chen's team had developed this response protocol over decades. "Let them see enough to know they can't challenge us," she explained to a new group of operators, "but never enough to understand how we do what we do." The galaxy's scientific community was in an uproar. Earth's demonstration had violated what they had thought were fundamental laws of physics. The way human technology manipulated quantum fields and bypassed established principles of space-time suggested capabilities that should have been impossible. Research facilities across known space redirected their efforts, trying to understand the principles behind human technology. They made progress in some areas, but each discovery only led to more questions. Earth had not just surpassed them technologically, it had taken a fundamentally different path of scientific development. The Confederation's military began a complete restructuring, acknowledging that their traditional advantages meant nothing against Earth's capabilities. But even as they adapted their strategies and technologies, they knew they were working from an incomplete understanding of what they faced. In the darker corners of the galaxy, other changes were taking place. Species that had suffered under Confederation dominance saw an opportunity in this shift of power. Some sought Earth's protection, while others simply took advantage of the Confederation's distraction to assert their independence. The Nexians, watching their ancient rivals' influence wane, began their own military buildup. They misunderstood humanity's revelation as the beginning of a new power struggle for galactic dominance. Their quantum transmissions to Earth grew more frequent, more insistent, always seeking an alliance that humanity had no intention of forming. "They all think in terms of empire," Rodriguez observed, watching the quantum feeds that showed the galaxy's political maneuvering. "They can't conceive of a species that develops advanced technology without seeking to dominate others." Dr. Chen nodded, studying the latest analysis from Earth's quantum observation network. "That's why our deception worked so perfectly. They judged us by their own standards, their own patterns of behavior. The idea that we might advance technologically while choosing to appear primitive never occurred to them. The facility's AI systems continued to monitor the shifting political currents in known space. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around the new reality of human capability, but humanity itself remained an enigma. Earth continued to reveal exactly as much as it chose to, maintaining a careful balance between demonstrated power and strategic ambiguity. In the Confederation Council chamber, a new faction was gaining influence. Led by beings who advocated for a complete reassessment of how the Confederation interacted with other species, they argued that Earth's revelation proved the fundamental flaws in their civilization's approach to galactic politics. We assumed technological advancement followed a single path, one council member argued, their crystalline form showing patterns of deep reflection. We judged other species by their adherence to our understanding of science and progress. Earth has proven that our entire framework of assessment was wrong. As the galaxy struggled to adapt to this new paradigm, humanity maintained its careful watch. Earth's defense grid remained active but invisible, its capabilities known but not understood. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity would not be conquered, controlled, or coerced, but neither would it seek to dominate. The age of Confederation supremacy was over, but what would replace it remained uncertain. The only certainty was that humanity had changed the galaxy's political landscape forever, and done so without firing a single shot. New Dawn. A year after Earth's revelation, the galaxy had fundamentally changed. The Great Chamber of the Galactic Assembly, built on neutral territory outside Confederation space, hosted a historic gathering. Representatives from 100 species came together not under Confederation authority, but as equals in a new galactic order. Dr. Chen stood at the podium, the first human to address this gathering, her presence a symbol of Earth's emergence from self-imposed obscurity. The chamber's architecture reflected the diversity of galactic life. Crystalline beings of the Confederation shared space with the energy forms of the Nexians and dozens of other species humanity had only observed from afar until now. For centuries, she began, humanity chose to hide our true capabilities. Not out of fear, but from wisdom learned through bitter experience. Today, we offer that wisdom to the galaxy. The chamber's quantum translators conveyed her words perfectly to each species present. The assembled representatives listened with unprecedented attention, not because of political power or military might, but because Earth had demonstrated a path of advancement none had imagined possible. In orbit above the assembly world, Earth's first publicly acknowledged advanced vessel hung in space, its quantum architecture design a testament to human innovation. Unlike the aggressive shapes of Confederation warships or the ostentatious displays of Nexian craft, the human ship exhibited an elegant simplicity that belied its incredible capabilities. General Rodriguez, watching the proceedings from Pantheon, monitored the quantum feeds showing reactions across known space. The galaxy's response to humanity's new openness proved as varied as the species themselves. Some sought to learn, others to adapt, and a few still searched for advantages. But all had been forced to reconsider their assumptions about technological progress. We did not develop our technology to dominate. Dr. Chen continued, her words resonating through the chamber. We advanced in secret because we observed how advanced technology was used as a tool of control in this galaxy. Today, we offer an alternative path. The human delegation had brought gifts, not weapons or power sources, but something more fundamental, new ways of thinking about science and progress. They shared basic principles that would allow other species to begin exploring the quantum technologies humanity had mastered. But more importantly, they offered a philosophy of advancement that didn't require domination. In the depths of space, the Confederation's mighty fleets were already being transformed. Their attempts to replicate human technology had led them down new paths of scientific understanding. But more significant than the technological changes were the cultural ones. Their assumption of superiority had been replaced by a more humble appreciation of diversity in scientific advancement. The Nexians, who had hoped to use Earth's emergence to challenge Confederation power, found themselves instead drawn into collaborative research projects. Human scientists worked with their energy form researchers, showing them approaches to quantum mechanics that their civilization had never considered. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Dr. Chen declared, her voice carrying the weight of human experience. We can continue the old patterns of dominance and control, or we can embrace a new model of cooperation and mutual advancement. In Pantheon, Rodriguez watched the quantum probability matrices that predicted possible futures. The old patterns showed paths leading to conflict and eventually mutual destruction. But new patterns were emerging, timelines where different species contributed their unique perspectives to solve challenges that had stymied individual civilizations for millennia. Earth's defense grid remained active, a silent reminder of human capabilities. But its purpose had shifted from concealment to protection, not just of Earth, but of the principle that technological advancement didn't have to lead to imperial ambition. The Confederation's original survey vessel, which had first dismissed Earth as primitive, now sat in a museum orbiting Crystalia Prime. Its sensors, once considered the pinnacle of technology, served as a reminder of how assumptions and arrogance could blind even the most advanced civilization to new possibilities. As Dr. Chen concluded her address, she activated a quantum display that showed the galaxy as humanity's sensors perceived it, a complex web of interactions and possibilities far richer than the simple power structures that had dominated for so long. We remained hidden not because we were weak, she explained, but because we saw the possibility of a different future. Today, that future begins. The response was unprecedented in galactic history. Species that had been locked in competition for millennia found themselves working together, drawn by the promise of advancement without conquest. The human model of progress, careful, ethical, and focused on understanding rather than control, began to influence civilizations across known space. In Pantheon, now serving as a teaching center for delegations from across the galaxy, Dr. Chen and General Rodriguez watched their long-hidden work bear fruit. The facility's quantum computers calculated new possibilities as species began sharing their unique approaches to science and technology. We revealed our power to end the old way, Chen observed, watching the quantum feeds showing collaborative projects spreading across the galaxy. But our real victory isn't in what we showed them, it's in what we taught them. The galaxy entered a new era, one where advancement wasn't measured by dominion over others, but by the ability to contribute to collective knowledge. Earth's defense grid remained, a guarantee that the old ways of conquest wouldn't return, but its primary purpose had evolved. It now stood as a monument to a simple truth. The greatest power lies not in the ability to destroy or dominate, but in the wisdom to know when not to. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through force of arms or shows of power, but by demonstrating a different path. The age of empires was ending, replaced by something new, an age of discovery where the greatest adventures lay not in conquest, but in understanding.